Hi, I'm Realtor Bert Taddei. Some of you folks know me already because you've worked with me in the past. Some of you follow my YouTube channel and the Sipping Coffee or Tea video educational series that I like to put on. I think I have a new video each week, and it's a lot of informational content. And this is another video that kind of offers a perspective, mainly factual, I promise, I'm going to stay objective, regarding the NAR, National Association of Realtors Settlement. So, this is August of 2024. Yes, I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and yes, it's like the hottest day of the year. So I decided that today was a good day to stay indoors and to film this video just to catch everybody up on what's going on in the industry. So it's basically going to be the old way versus the new way, right? And really, it's going to be a different mentality that we have to adopt as we move forward. And here's what's going on in the industry now. And let's start by recapping the lawsuit that was brought on first by plaintiffs in Missouri. It became class action. And then the NAR decided to settle. They settled for $418 million. In doing so, they were trying to protect the little guy like myself, right? I have under 2 billion in sales, right? So if you sold 2 billion and over in 2022, then you were not exempted from this lawsuit, and the liability was not released. However, of the 1.5 million members in our trade organization, perhaps the largest in America, the by and large, the majority of us were released from liability. Now, the other one, the larger brokerages, again, were not off the hook, so they had to settle in some way, shape, or form as well. Now, what has changed are a couple of things, right? First of all, they agreed in this lawsuit to not include offers of compensation on all of the local MLSs across the United States of America, right? So the multiple listing service can no longer list the number or the amount of commission that's being offered to a buyer's brokerage. So that is commissions. Number two are gonna be negotiable, as they always have been. Commissions have always been and always will be negotiable, right? And it can still be an option for consumers to pursue through off multiple listing service negotiation with the listing side and through their buyer's agents, and of course through through this consultation they can kind of appropriately guide them on what could be asked for, right, in terms of contributions to closing costs to cover that. We do that in paragraph 12 of the Texas Realtors 1 to 4 family contract. Now, number three thing that has changed are written agreements. So, if you know me, if you worked with me in the past, you know that there was a lot of paperwork, but I've always been the kind of person to cross the T's and dot the I's, so to speak, right? I like to do things by the book. I'm charged with a great duty to serve the public at a high level through transparency, honesty, and integrity. So, you know me that there was from before, if I ever worked with you on the buy side transaction, then you know that we, of course, used to, and we still use a 5-page buyer representation agreement, right? That gives us as licensees basically the authorization to act on your behalf and to negotiate on your behalf, to offer on your behalf as well, right? And there is still a 5-page form. They changed it a little bit in terms of content. A couple paragraphs moved around and that kind of thing. However, there's also that's the long form, right? But there's also a short form. They call it short form, and it's just 1 page. Either way, it's going to basically be required in order for us as licensees to even open the door for you, for any buyer for that matter, to show them a property, right? That was part of the lawsuit. Is that across America, ubiquitously, we have to adhere to that standard, and that something needs to be in writing from a buyer's agent to show a property to a prospective buyer. Now, that is a touring agreement, and some of them can be touring agreements, right, for a flat fee and that kind of thing. So, if you've read or heard, I'm sure there's a lot of negative press out there as well that you don't have to pay, the realtors aren't going to get paid anymore, that kind of thing. When was the last time your employer came to you and said, hey, look, we got this huge project, it's going to take you months and over 100 hours to work on this, and we're going to ask you to do this one for free? You don't mind, do you? Of course not, right? So likewise, buyers agents are going to want to get compensated as well, probably through the course of negotiation with the seller and their agent. That's to be determined, right? The commissions are and always have been negotiable. Number 4 thing that has changed, well, I already covered this one. This is, of course, the $418 million payout, and that takes place, what I didn't tell you is it takes place over 4 years. I did want to mention that point. The 5th thing is that the NAR denied any kind of wrongdoing whatsoever, and they did not admit to any complicit activity to somehow we were, I don't know, conspiring. That was in the lawsuit that we as realtors were conspiring, and even the NAR as an agent, as a organization, was conspiring to charge the same. And that would be a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890. And I can tell you that that's like day 1 of real estate school. You have to learn, you have to cover that right away from the outset. And inherently speaking, the real estate industry is a real lone wolf type of industry anyway, and we avoid discussions and contact and fraternizing, frankly, with other agents. It's very competitive. Even if people are buddy-buddy with each other, I've never been, in my 10 years in the real estate business, around a conversation where people are talking about commission at a luncheon or something. Never. It's never happened in the history of ever, at least around in my circles in Texas. So anyway. So what does it mean? You know, what can we expect? Well, let's start with the elements. They're calling this a consumer-centric model, all right? And commissions are now decoupled. That means each side negotiates their own commissions. Buyer broker is going to set the fees for their services that they provide and to work with the buyer. And the listing broker is going to, of course, set their services and fees to work with the seller. So that's decoupling of commissions. We still use the purchase and sale agreement, and in Texas, that's the 1 to 4 family contract that I told you about that governs, is going to govern all of these activities, and of course the distribution of fees. So apropos of that, 16 forms have been updated, and there's 3 new ones. And guess what? The day before August 16th, just after midnight, the day before these changes were supposed to take place, 17th of August, it was a Saturday, the Texas Association of Realtors and the attorneys and everybody got together and decided to change most of the forms. So how do you like that? I've heard some agents say, well, we can't advertise on the MLS, but nothing says we can't advertise on our websites. And they're talking about a lot of workarounds and how the DOJ, yes, the Department of Justice, is keeping an eye on those things, and they mean to fine realtors that don't comply with these new rules, right? So the broker commission offers of commissions for a listing is basically is not customary. They're not customary fees, and by setting that, it's considered steering, because the idea is that a buyer's agent will not show them a property if they're not offering enough money. That's never been the case, by the way. But my point is that all of this is going to be a really good thing for the industry, because a study showed that 28% of buyers had no idea how much their agent made. That's a stat, right? I think it's a good thing, because there, of course, we're going to be able to negotiate our fees and our services before. If a listing agent said, well, I'm going to take this listing with and agree with my sellers to for 5%, and I'm going to offer 2.5% to the buyer's brokerage, and I'll keep 2.5%. Let's just say, for example, I'm just giving you an example, because I read a stat that across America, average commission rate over the last 2 years or so has been 2.55%. So let's just say for each side, right? Well, let's just say that they negotiated that 2.5%. Well, guess what? They basically negotiated the buyer's commission ahead of time. So now the buyer's agent's kind of stuck. That's what they earned. They're going to earn whatever somebody else was able to negotiate for them. Now they're going to be able to negotiate for themselves, right? Depending upon their value stack, right? What is it that they offer that warrants 3%, 2.5%, 2%, 1%, $2,000 flat fee, whatever that is, right? Commissions are negotiable. The strategy, of course, is going to be able to negotiate the commissions through their offer, and they'll be again considered to be concessions, right? So myself as a listing professional, I'm going to set the expectation with my seller that when the buyer agent does submit the offer, there's probably going to be asking for some concessions to pay their fees, because houses have not gotten any less expensive than they were before, especially with first-time home buyers and veterans that we try to help. If they were asking for closing costs before, what's it going to mean whenever they're basically saying, well, I can barely afford to buy this house, I certainly don't have 2 or 3% to pay my agent. They're going to be asking the seller for that. So I'm going to be preparing my sellers that, hey, listen, you're welcome to submit an offer. I'll tell the public, if you have an expectation for commission, I cannot comment on that, on what the seller would be willing to pay, obviously. However, you're more than welcome to go ahead and put that into your offer. Based on how strong their offer is, will determine how much the seller's willing to pay. Plain and simple. But I think at the end of the day, the sellers will probably still end up paying 2 to 3%. And hey, by the way, over the last, since forever, right, ahead of August 17th, guess what? The prices of the homes already included those commissions that were being paid. So, and by the way, I'm doing that now on my comparative market analysis, right? My CMAs. When I go talk to sellers, I tell them, well, based on the comparables, that data is still in there. I can still see it. They didn't remove the offers for commission in old listings. So I can tell them, hey, look, over the past 3 months, this is what they were paying. And that was already in the price of the house, right? So we have to kind of consider that and take that into account, commensurate, with what was being paid at that time, right? And I can study all that data to better educate my sellers. But hey, listen, before, what was happening is that we were saying we're offering 2%. Well, you're basically showing your cards up front. So it's really a weakening of the seller's position, saying, well, the seller's already committed to paying 2%. In this case, hey, make us your best offer. And if we can't come to terms, and the buyer just can't afford the house, well, see you later. And if the seller's inflexible, doesn't want to come down a little bit, right? And that's that's according to the old way. That's why I'm saying it's going to be a good thing for us, right? I think that with the seller's agent deciding how much the buyer's agent was going to make before, because they would negotiate that with the seller, I think that was probably not such a good thing. But now when I represent a seller, in a listing capacity, I'm going to protect my seller from the beginning. Not by negotiating against ourselves, but instead saying, hey, put it in your offer. And the seller will consider any and all offers. Plain and simple, right? We'd never say in the listing remarks that a seller that's going through divorce, hey, seller going through divorce, so bring us your best offer. Why would you do that if the seller's getting divorced? We would never do that. So why were we advertising the amount of the commission before, right? You really think of it that way, right? Or if the seller is selling, the listing price is $400,000, but I know I can't disclose this, but I know that they would take down to 375 in order to net the amount of money they need to at the closing table. If they'd be willing to accept 375, I'm not going to put that in the remarks. Seller willing to accept down to 375, but that's what we're doing essentially, right, with the commissions, advertising that from the beginning. So that's not going to happen anymore. It weakens the position, of course, but it's going to basically that's what we're going to be doing, is that we're going to be negotiating everything, right? So as a professional real estate advisor, for 10 years now, I can tell you that buying and selling of houses isn't going away. Okay, you can talk to me all you want about artificial intelligence and the Tesla robots and all that stuff, but you know what? As long as houses are being bought and sold, there's going to still need to be a need for salespeople. We're not going away, and even as things become more digitized and so forth, I think as long as we're still buying and selling homes, there's still going to be a need for human beings. All right, so let's work through this, right? And it's just another human being being able to help advise on that process, right? If not, we'd have been made obsolete a long time ago, with Zillow and all these people trying to. It's like a love-hate relationship. They're trying to put us out of business and so forth. You know what? If there was a way to eliminate realtors, I think that would have happened a long time ago. So buckle up, accept the changes, because it's going to be the law now, and seek guidance when needed from a pro like me. I'm more than happy to help the public. As you know, I'm Bert Taddei. I'm broker owner of Santino Properties LLC, a boutique firm that specializes in unique and effective use of marketing. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and I'm always happy to be a resource, so reach out to me, 210-376-TALK in San Antonio. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and even if you're not in San Antonio, I'm just trying to be, of course, a resource to the public and real estate consumers. So thanks for watching my video, and that's it for now. Take care.